24 hours after I strongly stated that the A's will not go to Vegas, new news came out that strongly contradicts that assertion. Am I now changing my tune?
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. I am your host, Bunni. Episodes will drop Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. That's Oakland time, Vegas time, and Sacramento time. Whether you are on your way to work, driving back from work, or listening casually during the day, I'm from the Bay Area, and I've been a diehard A's fan since 1981. I'm here to bring you a real fan's take, covering everything from Oakland to Sacramento to Las Vegas. This is the place for A's fans to get the latest game breakdowns, team news, and more. This is where the passion of the fans take center stage. Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. And please hit that subscribe button wherever you are following the show. The 2025 A's schedule has been released. We will go through the schedule, look at the highlights of the schedule, and games the A's need to focus on to get off to the start we need to. The A's have announced a trade. We will cover that as well. With baseball back in the flow of things again, I am going to look at the 2025 A's lineup if they do not sign one free agent, and compare that lineup and players to A's of the past. It does not feel right if we don't start the show with some John Fisher news. This episode is brought to you in part by FANDUEL. You can start the season with a big return on FANDUEL. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. As I said in my opening, big news coming out of Vegas that has contradicted my previous takes. Am I going to change my tune and admit I was wrong? First, let's get to the news. According to remarks by A's club executive Sandy Dean, in which he stated that John Fisher and his family will invest $1 billion into the construction of a stadium in Las Vegas, while U.S. Bank and Goldman Sachs will offer a $300 million loan. He said that 4 letters will be presented at the December 5th authority meeting, asserting construction details and that financing will be in place. Final approvals are expected to be made at the meeting to allow construction of the $1.5 billion, 33,000 seat domed ballpark. Am I ready to admit I was wrong and change my tune? Let's put it this way. If this news came out yesterday, yes, my opinion and take would have changed. This is a big deal. My assertion and take has always been whether if Vegas would happen or not. My reasoning for Vegas not happening had to do solely with one reason and one reason alone: the $850 million. I went through that point by point in yesterday's episode. I didn't have a doubt regarding the public funds and was suspicious considering no bank was mentioned regarding the $300 million, but thought that would be put together. My sold out and my sold out alone, as I mentioned earlier, is the $850 million. With that being said, the facts I presented to form my opinion proved to be correct. As I mentioned earlier, I doubted and questioned strongly the remaining $850 million due to the fact that Fisher could not find any outside investors. This proves to be true, and Fisher was not willing to liquidate any of his own holdings in order to come up with the remaining $850 million. That as well has proved to be true. The Fisher family has pledged the remaining $850 million. So in turn, yes, I do believe the A's will end up in Las Vegas. They did not need to come out and announce that today. There was no need, there was no deadline. But not only did they communicate the family's willingness to participate in this investment, they also came out with the names of the lenders that will be lending the $300 million, which is Goldman Sachs and US Bank. Am I ready to completely say, hey, I'm absolutely positive the A's are going to be in Vegas? No. But is my opinion drastically different than it was yesterday? Yes. Now, I have been clear about this from the beginning. I will support the A's no matter where they go, whether that will be Las Vegas, Sacramento, or Oakland. I am baseball first. I have no ill will to any A's fan, no matter what city you are from. For me, the announcement is actually a bit of a relief, and I hope it does happen. I hope this whole thing is just done with. And like Tony Cordasco said on the show the other day, once things get going, the stadium will go up fast. And I have no doubt that it will be up in time for opening day of the 2028 season. For me, personally, the speculation and doubt is not fully gone. But yes, I don't have the same take as I did yesterday. If I had to say one way or another if Vegas is going to happen, I would say yes, it is. Now, that isn't the best for me, considering 80% of my audience was only interested in the John Fisher drama and could care less about baseball. But it will be nice to focus simply on baseball. Maybe I'll do another one of those clickbaits you guys are talking about. I got to be honest with you. This is off topic a little bit. I've never been a real social media guy. Very old school. But anytime you're starting something new, you do your best to grow your business, your brand, your whatever you want to call it. And as a fan, like all of us, we say things. We try to predict starting lineups. We try to predict free agent signings. We try to predict anything is going to happen. And for fans, we are wrong 90% of the time. And I tell you, the messages I was receiving with the post that the A's are not going to Las Vegas was over my head. At no point have I ever claimed to be a news reporter with sources. At no point. have I ever said that I have the scoop. And I have to hand it to you. Some of your insults and names that I was being called was creative and found amusing. Thank you for that. But yes, a very interesting experience. Like I said, will it be nice to simply focus on baseball? 100%. Was there the fan inside of me that wanted the A's to go to Sacramento and have an ownership led by Vivek and Lacob? 100%. No matter how far-fetched the idea may have sounded, the A's would have produced a better product on the field under an ownership in Sacramento. It will be the same status quo under Fisher. He will not spend on free agents, nor will he try to upgrade the team on the field. And we all know that. As I have always said, I love the young kids the A's produce through their farm system and the draft. No one plays a style of baseball as exciting as the A's. The A's actually got me interested in watching college baseball, and I have zero issue with how the A's are producing their players. Do I wish, do I hope they sign a veteran bat or a veteran pitcher to help support the young kids? 100%. And I hope that gets done. At the end of the day, I want the A's to close this chapter. I want them to turn the page on everything that has nothing to do with baseball. To start things off on the right foot, let's get into the 2025 schedule in Sacramento and the trade the A's made. Today's episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel. When I personally look at a sports book, there are two things that are most important to me. Is it easy to deposit? And more importantly, is it easy to withdraw? FanDuel checks both boxes for me. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Before we get into the 2025 A's schedule, the A's made a trade yesterday. Not a big one, but one worth telling you about. The A's traded outfielder Daz Cameron to the Orioles in exchange for cash considerations. Cameron was a prospect back in 2015, drafted by the Astros as the 37th overall pick. In 2024 for the A's, he appeared in 66 games, batted .200, 5 home runs, and had an OPS of .587. Stole 5 bases, was not caught, and he showed some glimpses in late May as he went 2 for 5 with a home run, helping the A's to win against the Rockies, which was actually Cameron's first game with the A's. He looked the part from a defensive and offensive standpoint, but he could not get any type of consistency going when he did get the opportunity to play. The 2025 schedule announced, and here are some of the highlights. 60 night games, which is tied for the most in a season in franchise history. Night games will start at 7:05. 11 of the 21 total day games will be played in April and May, which is absolutely a beautiful time of year in Sacramento. May 9th through 11th, they will have a 3-game set against the Yankees in Sacramento. May 11th is Mother's Day. A 3-game set against the Phillies on Memorial Day weekend, May 23rd through May 25th. They play a 3-game set against the Giants on 4th of July weekend. And when you look at the schedule, it is critical that the A's get off to somewhat of a good start. Last year, the A's opened up losing 7 of its first 8 games, and it seemed like an uphill climb right from the start. We open up in Seattle with a 4-game set, end the month with 3 against the Rangers in Sacramento, 3 against the White Sox, and then 4 in Texas. What's even more important is getting off to a good start against teams in our own division. Last year, the A's started the season 6-18 through games in June against teams in the AL West. This year, we have 26 games through the month of June against teams from the AL West. If you remember last year, we had a dreadful June, and going into the second half, we were absolutely out of it. We did not have a shot. We get off to that good start. We take care of business against the teams we are supposed to beat, like the White Sox, and we don't give away any series against teams from the AL West, like Texas, like Seattle, like Houston, like Anaheim. I think we will be right in the hunt of things at the end of June. And if we have any type of second half like we did this year, we're a playoff team. Up next, what does the 2025 starting lineup look like if we were not to sign one free agent, which is possible? And who do those players on this year's starting lineup remind me of when thinking about A's players in the past? This episode is brought to you in part by GameTime. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets and more with GameTime picks. I was looking to go to the Dallas Cowboys San Francisco 49ers game last Sunday night, and what I loved about the GameTime experience is the all-in pricing feature, where it shows you the total up front of your ticket with no surprise fees. It's the only ticketing app that gives me complete peace of mind. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets. Lowest price guaranteed. We have a real fun segment coming up for you right now. As I mentioned earlier, what we are going to do is we are going to go through next year's starting lineup and assume they did not sign one free agent. Here are the rules. We're only going to do hitters. And we are going to compare the player to who the player reminds me of most in Oakland athletic history. Outfielders will be compared to outfielders. We're not going to do left fielder for left fielder, so forth. I will describe the player, then I will give you, as the listener, hints on who the player is most like in A's history. Does that make sense? If not, you will figure it out rather quickly. Okay, leading off, outfielder, Lawrence Butler. When I think of Lawrence Butler, I think about a player who has a perfect combination of speed and power. If Lawrence Butler does not have the second half of the season he had last year, our outlook on the A's is not as optimistic. In July alone, Butler hit .363 with 10 home runs, 27 RBIs, and an OPS of 1.210. He stole 18 bases in 105 games, and when I think of speed and power batting in the leadoff spot, this one should be pretty easy. He is the greatest Oakland Athletic of all time. You got it, Ricky Henderson. Batting second, outfielder, Miguel Andujar. I have talked about Miguel Andujar in the past, and I am very high on Andujar. As I have mentioned in a past episode, everyone forgets about the monster Andujar was his rookie season with the Yankees, when he hit 27 home runs, drove in 92 runs with a batting average of .297 and an OPS of .855. He was second in the Rookie of the Year voting to only Shohei Ohtani. He has battled injuries, and he found himself hurt for most of the year in 2024, only playing in 75 games, but he still managed to hit .275. He's a good contact guy. He's reliable. He gets on base. When I think of an A that he reminds me of, I got to go back to the early 2000s. He played center field, left-handed hitter, good contact guy, good average, dependable, and started his career in New York as well. A little harder. Terrence Long. Batting third, Brett Rooker, DH. Brett Rooker is an AL MVP candidate. He ranked in the top 5 in the American League in most offensive categories. 39 bombs, 112 RBIs, and an OPS of .927. Rooker was simply dominant. And comparing him to an Oakland Athletic of the past is pretty easy. Just think of a dominant hitter who really was not known for his glove. You don't have it by now, I'll give you some hints. Left-handed hitter, early 2000s, Moneyball, free agent, Yankees, you got it. Jason Giambi. Batting fourth, catching, Shea Langoliers. It was only 5 years ago when Shea Langoliers was the 9th overall pick in the 2019 draft by the Atlanta Braves. And Shea is starting to come into his own. A lot of power. Hit 29 jacks last year with an OPS of .739. He only hit .224, and he did strike out a lot. But considering he hit .176 in April and .184 in June, .224 isn't bad. When comparing him to an athletic in the past, you got to think great hitting catcher. 2 catchers come immediately to my mind, and it's not Gene Tenets. Number 36, Terry Steinbach. Batting fifth, outfielder, J.J. Bleday. Like Langoliers, Bleday was drafted in 2019, but drafted 5 spots sooner. That's right. J.J. Bleday was the number 4 overall pick in 2019 by the Miami Marlins, and he is starting to live up to all the hype. He played in 159 of 162 games last year, hit 20 home runs and had an OPS of .762. We've seen steady improvement year after year out of Bleday, and I'm making an early prediction. 2025, JJ Bleday, an all-star. When I think of another Oakland Athletic of the past, I'm thinking smooth, left-handed hitting outfielder that was drafted in the top 5 of the draft. This one's a little harder. He only played 3 seasons with the A's, 1997 to 2000. Ben Grieve, drafted 2 overall in the 1994 draft. Batting 6th, playing first base. Another first-round draft pick for the A's. 2020, number 26 overall. Showed signs of the star he was last year when he got an opportunity to play every single day. And he produced. He is still very, very young. And the Athletic he reminds me of is Derek Barton, who is another left-handed hitter that threw right-handed and played first base. And also, like Soderstrom, was drafted in the first round of the 2003 draft, number 28 overall. And like Soderstrom as well, both Soderstrom and Barton were drafted out of high school. Batting 7th, playing second base, Zach Geloff. Geloff had a breakout year in 2023. He hit .267 with 14 home runs, but only in 69 games. There was a lot of hope for Geloff going into the 2024 season. Unfortunately, I believe it was a step back for Geloff. In 138 games, he hit .211 with 17 home runs, but he struck out 188 times. When Geloff is right, every part of his game is solid. Defensively, offensively, running the bases. Everything he does is dependable and solid. And when I think of a past Oakland Athletic that fits this exact billing, I think of Mark Ellis. Batting 8th, playing third base. This may come as a bit of a surprise. Brett Harris. I'm high on Brett Harris. Defensively, he is at a Gold Glove level. Yes, already. That is his deal. He showed he had some pop, but hit around 160 when he was up from the minors. Had some hard contact in the last couple months of the season, but his bat definitely needs to get more consistent. And I think next year is the year Harris solidifies himself as the everyday third baseman. You know who else was another Gold Glove third baseman for the Oakland Athletics that struggled early in his career with his bat? You guessed it, Matt Chapman. And batting 9th, 2023 first round pick, number 6 overall, is smooth, scrappy, and just grinds at bat after at bat. Shortstop, Jacob Wilson, loaded with talent. And it is not a surprise that he got called up so quick. Looking forward to seeing Wilson play every single day. Another shortstop from A's history that was drafted in the first round and fits a similar description of Wilson. This one should be easy. 1988 Rookie of the Year, Walt Weiss, drafted 11th overall in 1985. We'll see how this all shapes up. Obviously, this is all speculation. Speculation seems to be a big word this week, but I am looking forward to the Oakland Athletics of 2025. We appreciate you making today's episode of Locked On A's your first listen of the day. For your second listen, be sure to check out Locked On MLB podcast with your pal Sully, who has it all covered every single day. Click here to listen now. Don't forget that between these episodes, you can keep up with me and your A's by following on social media at Twitter or X at Locked On A's. I'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.